And good morning, everybody. This is a screencast that we will be doing to discuss the first two sections in the text about the Russian Revolution. And we have a very expressive poster of Lenin, the leader of the Russian Revolution, going about and doing his thing, leading and changing the world. So let's talk about what we want to do over the next couple of days, or in this podcast, and over the next couple of days in class. I did send a video or a screencast to show you what you need to be doing the next few days. We want to be explaining the causes of the February or the March Revolution, and the reason for the difference in dates is that the Russian calendar was different than the Western world. Describe the goals of Lenin and the Bolsheviks in the October Revolution. And tomorrow, or in another screencast, we'll be summarizing the outcome of the Civil War in Russia and analyzing how Lenin built a communist state. So what were the causes of the Russian Revolution? What led to the February Revolution and then to Red October? There are two revolutions, the February Revolution and the October Revolution, which is known as Red October, where the communists, the Bolsheviks, emerged victorious. The first revolution was won by the Mensheviks, who were also socialists, but they were much more moderate, and the Bolsheviks were much more radical. Some of the reasons for the causes of the Russian Revolution, and it's really both revolutions, but the first one was the February, and so what had Russia so unhappy? Russia lagged behind the rest of the world in industrial relations and the rights for her citizens. They were an autocratic state with the Tsar at the head and very ineffective government. The legislature was called the Duma, and it had no real power, so you didn't have any kind of popular sovereignty. Again, it was an autocratic rule. Corruption, secret police, and incompetence were the traits of Nicholas's rule. Nicholas was the last Tsar. Now, Marxists, these are people who were socialists and wanted radical change. They wanted the working class, or the proletariats, to rise up in revolution. The problem is there just weren't a lot of proletariats, so it would be a different group that rose. There was extreme discontent with World War I. I got to fix the spelling on that. People were very unhappy. The Russian army was very large, but it was clunky, it was not well equipped, and it was very badly led. And they suffered massive casualties. In a few months in 1915, they suffered over 2 million killed. And they were just badly led and not well equipped. And even though they had this huge army, the Germans just would crush them. The Austrian-Hungarians, who didn't have a particularly strong army, also did well, but the Germans just crushed them. Nicholas saw what was happening and thought, well, if I go to the front, he was trained as a military officer, and he was about as good as most Russian generals, which means he was pretty bad. Nicholas tries to lead the army from the front, and what happens is, when that happens, someone starts moving in for the vacuum. Someone who takes a large role in the government is a man by the name of Rasputin, who was really an insane man. He was a monk, and this is not to disparage anyone who is religious, because he was just insane. And what happens is he starts getting very close to the Tsarina, and he becomes her confidant. When Nicholas goes away, the Tsarina has a lot of power, and Rasputin has a lot of sway. So Rasputin, and there was an interruption, Rasputin is this very eccentric, somewhat crazy man, and he is giving advice to the Tsarina, who is ruling while Nicholas is running the army. This makes the nobility really, really upset, and the people who run the government, who see this person as really being detrimental to the government and how it runs things. And he's murdered. Basically, he's put down, assassinated by government officials, which causes another internal strife. Russia is falling apart at the seams. It had a lot of problems, and World War I is a big problem. And remember, as we learned earlier, every one of the Tsar's advisors said, don't mobilize, don't go to war. The country is not in good shape. Nicholas didn't listen, and the country is paying the price for it. Meanwhile, the country is in chaos. The war has disrupted food supplies, and women are screaming in the street, bread, bread, bread. This is just like the French Revolution in many ways. You have riots. Workers now are going on riots. Students are going on riots. People are agitating, and they want this government out. They want out of the war. The army and navy start mutinying. They refuse to fight. And what happens is Nicholas is forced to abdicate, which means he gives up the throne in March of 1917, and the Duma becomes the ruling power of Russia. The problem is the Duma has never ruled before, and the people don't associate them with strength. The Duma has a lot of arguments, but they start making progress. They actually get together rather quickly, and they start working on a constitution. They try to bring economic reform and relief, but they make one key mistake. The Mensheviks decide to continue the war with Germany, and it's the war with Germany that has broke the camel's back, so to say, in Russia. The people don't want to fight this war. They're done with the war. The army is mutinying, and in the time period from March of 1917 till Russia exits the war in the Brest-Litovsk Treaty, Russia suffers tremendous casualties, and the morale of the nation just goes downhill. Meanwhile, Lenin, and this is a picture of him, is starting to get a lot of power in Russia. Now, Lenin was born in Russia, and he was a political agitator basically for his whole life. A key event was his brother was killed. He saw his brother hanged, and it really led him to hate the Tsar and the government. And Lenin is forming what are called the Bolsheviks. While the Duma is being formed and is technically in power, a rival government is being formed, and these are small radical socialist groups who believe in socialism by violence, and these groups are called Soviets. Their leader is Lenin, who is a longtime radical and agitator. He had been exiled as a young man to Siberia along with his wife, and then after he gets out of Siberia, he goes to Switzerland. Lenin is working. He comes back to Russia, and he's sent by Germany to agitate. They say to him, why don't you go back and almost work for us? It's not that he's a German agent. He's an agent for communism. But the idea the Germans have is he can create this discord and unrest, and it works very well. Lenin is advocating for violent change, radical violent change, that it can't just be done slowly. It has to be done radically. He's very much like Robespierre in that he believes in violence as a means to an end. He works with small groups of thinkers, intellectuals, people from colleges. He works with some labor leaders. Remember, the labor movement is very small in Russia, and some military. And he calls this elite core Bolsheviks, which means majority, even though they are a very, very small part of the population. And this is later on adopted by many radicals, that you don't need a majority to bring about revolution. You just need basically a small radical core who are absolutely willing to push the envelope. This later on happens in Germany with the Nazis, who never were a majority party in Germany. They were always a minority party, but they were exceptionally radical, and they were willing to do things no one else was willing to do. The Bolsheviks very much mirror that, in the sense that they're both radicals and they believe in totalitarianism, which gives them a certain lack of ethics that the normal run-of-the-mill socialist or the normal run-of-the-mill political person would have about respecting human rights. These radicals, they really don't believe in respecting life in particular. So this is causing violent change, and this sets the scene that by October of 1917, the war is still going on. The nation is absolutely fed up, and the country is about to break. You've had a revolution. There's going to be a second revolution called the Bolshevik Revolution, or Red October, where the Bolsheviks start fighting against the moderate socialists, the Mensheviks. This will break out into all-out civil war that will cost millions of lives. But the Bolsheviks get control of major metropolitan areas in Petrograd or St. Petersburg and in other cities like Moscow. Lenin has basically created a counter-revolution to the Mensheviks, who just never were giving enough time, but made a fatal flaw in staying in World War I. I know this video went a little bit longer, but this should help you with vocabulary and with comprehension questions. Have a great day.